I was talking to a guy yesterday, and somehow we got on the subject of marriages and relationships. He proceeds to tell me that him and his wife were married for 24 years, just slightly below 25 years. He said about the third day on their vacation, his wife started acting really suspicious around her phone. He said she was in the shower one day and he tried to look at her phone because she had a few of incoming messages. He said she must have changed the settings because when he tried to look at the phone, it would just come up as new message, not the usual. When he looked at the phone, it would display the first two lines of text. That's what he said. But she changed some settings. He said about another couple of days go by and he couldn't access her phone. He typed in her password and it would say invalid password. He said, for some reason, Tony, I did not freak out. I kept my cool and filed it away. He said after they got back home from vacation, he said he talked to a friend of his about it, and his friend told him get to the bottom of it because he didn't want to overreact. But in my opinion, if you can't get into your significant other's phone and you always had access, that's a clear-cut indication to me that she is hiding something. Don't overthink it. So after he talks to his friend, he sits on this uneasy feeling for another 2 weeks. He said in those 2 weeks, nothing has changed. They are intimate like they normally are 2 to 3 times a week. She buys him stuff. She texts him throughout the day, and she comes on to him like out of the blue when they're both at home. Now, audience, you and I both know that might be a sign of love bombing, and we know what that means. Now, after about the third week, he decides to confer with the private investigator. Now, keep in mind, they live in Georgia. So you know about Georgia. If you can prove your spouse is unfaithful or was unfaithful, well, guess what? No matter how long the marriage is, that person may end up with the short end of the stick. Now, when he talks to the private investigator asks him, do you think you're overreacting? He says, no, I don't think I'm overreacting because in the 24 years we were married, I always had access to her phone. And all of a sudden, I don't. To me, that sounds plausible. If you can't access your significant other's phone out of the blue, something's wrong. So he hires the private investigator. He gave the private investigator $11,000. Folks, I don't know about you, but $11,000 is a lot of damn money. A lot of people don't even have that in their savings account. But he said with this business, he didn't have time to follow his wife. He would rather pay someone to do it and make sure he had all the proof he needed before he confronted her. He said it took the private investigator almost a month to find out she was sleeping with 2 men. The private investigator told him that his wife had sneaky communications. Sneaky communications? What the hell is that? The private investigator said when he surveilled her, he noticed a couple of times that when she was on the phone, before she got out of the car, she would park somewhere, put the phone down, and go into the trunk and pull out another phone. So I'm assuming that's where she hid her burner phone. And he said, Tony, that surprised the hell out of me. But he said the strange thing was his phone privileges were granted again. I'm like, what do you mean? He said one day while we were home, she got a message and I looked at it and I could get in it again. I'm like, yeah, that's strange. He said after the private investigator told him that, he checked the phone bill and he noticed that after he got his phone privileges back, he started noticing that all the numbers, the random numbers that he didn't know of or was not in his contacts, it started dwindling down to his number and a couple others that was in his contact that he knew about. Once he had all this information, he still did not say anything to his wife. He didn't want her to know anything. Once the private investigator got back to him, he found out that these 2 men, he both knew of them. He's met them, he shook their hands, and they both had wives. So once he had all this information from the private investigator, he went to talk to a divorce attorney. One thing the divorce attorney told him that was really hard for him, he could not sleep with his wife. The attorney told him, he says, if you sleep with her and you file for divorce, the judge might throw the divorce out because if you slept with her, the judge may assume that you've forgiven her. He said, Tony, once I talked to the attorney and I took his advice, I filed that day. And 2 days later, when my wife went to work, I moved out. And she panicked. She panicked even more when she was served with divorce papers. And she came to his job. Security wouldn't let her in. Now, they have 2 kids. By this time, the kids don't know anything yet. They're grown and they're out of the house. And she went by his parents' house. They didn't talk to her. He said by this time, she's getting angry. She pitched marriage counseling. He said no. And once he ghosted her, that was all she wrote. He said it took about 7 months before the divorce hearing. He said at the divorce hearing, his wife tried to come after him for everything. Now, he also said that she knew what he had, but her attorney tried to tell her, this is not going to work out well for you. He said for some reason, she just didn't listen to her attorney. Well, she didn't get shit. Only thing that she got was some of the furniture, her car, some of the savings, but she did not get any alimony. She did not get any of his retirement because she got caught cheating and he had a private investigator to prove it. But it doesn't end there. He told his kids what their mother did. It didn't sit right with her because she thought she deserved half of everything. And she started to say some things to family and friends of what she was going to do. Well, this bitch was crazy because one day he came outside, he was getting ready to go to work. All of his tires were slashed. He said the cops were called, police reports were done. He said to this day, they still don't know who did it. I'm assuming his wife, but can't nobody prove it. He said while this is going on, he contacted both wives, and within 90 days, both women have filed their own divorces. He said about 7 months later, his wife was starting to call and leave long voicemails and writing letters. He never read any of the letters, but he listened to one voicemail and she was confessing to everything. She apologized. She said she would do anything, give up her privacy. Just laying it all on the line. He said he wasn't going to go back. He never told her what he was going to do. But he said, Tony, I cannot trust her. He said the trust is gone. I cannot trust this woman. He said, I don't care how much she begged or any of that nonsense. I was not taking her back. He said he still struggles with it sometimes. He can't understand a betrayal. And he said he's just going to live his life one day at a time. And I told him, do not rush your healing. Some people with something like that, it takes longer. And some people, they are able to move on quickly. Not everybody is built the same. I will leave you with this. 1, don't ever let someone make a fool out of you. 2, if you did not cause the demise of your relationship or you are not the problem, stop trying to fix it. Until next time.